Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum. If you want to see how insane speed spec is when you have mech rage sledgehammers, this is the game for you. Let's go. At the bottom here, I am playing as an aerial specialist, and I'm playing against Sparty, playing with a speed specialist. I started off with steel balls, arc lights, and I wanted to do a asymmetrical aggro on the left. And Sparty seems to want to do the exact same thing in the opposite side of the map. So we're going to have a very interesting game on our hand. Alright, first turn, it looks pretty evenly matched, but it looks like my steel balls are just getting a little bit more distracted to these crawlers. And Sparty, because he already started with the crawlers, he just ended up adding an extra squad of the sledgehammers. He should be able to get this round for me. Steel balls are just working their butts off trying to get these sledgehammers, but I don't think they're going to succeed. Alright, we end up with 4 sledgies and 2 arc lights. This is actually a pretty even fight because the arc lights, even though they're more of a chaff clear, they are surprisingly tanky. So I might actually get this round. Ooh. Oh man, okay, with 2 arc lights surviving, that's great. Alright, round 2, we both are going to pick these snipers. Marksmen work great because not only they can 2-shot the sledgehammers, they can also 2-shot these steel balls. Right now, neither of us have any type of anti-air, so marksman is also a hedge against those. And it looks like Sparty's got something else in mind, and here comes the assault marksman. Asmen are actually excellent because my balls have to get very close to do damage, which means the marksmen don't actually have to get range in order to do well against my steel balls. More chaff is being added for Sparty, more chaff is being added for me, and I've also took the tower upgrade on the far right, knowing that I probably won't have any army there protecting it, and I don't want to get an early debuff so that my army can continue to fight. Alright, the steel balls are coming into Sparty's tower. And he's not able to get mine, so it looks to be a pretty straightforward win here. Except my front line is all the way on the other side of the map, so it's all about the timing of that other tower. If I can get to the other tower before he kills most of my army, I should be in a very good space. And here we are. So whenever you're playing aggro with steel balls, it becomes a game of chaff clear because your steel balls will pretty much kill anything, especially later on once they get range and energy absorption. They can kill anything that they latch onto. But the problem is, in order to get to those things, they have to cut through the chaff. And if you don't have enough chaff clear, then your steel balls will spend days trying to shoot fans and crawlers, and it's never going to work out. So knowing that, I immediately took the range on the arc light, seeing how the last turn worked out pretty well for me, and also start noticing that Sparty is starting to put down more fans instead of crawlers. Fans, unlike crawlers, they don't actually move too far into your army, which means my arc light will have to travel, and when my arc lights are traveling, they aren't shooting, which means my steel balls are probably shooting at the fans. So I took the range in order to get the fans to walk into my arc lights range so that my arc light never have to move. So look at these 3 arc lights. They've been sitting there since the beginning of this round and just shooting at everything with that range. Alright, now with the chaff cleared, my steel balls are free to do what they do best. And we're gonna get a tower up top. And with the tower down, I think I should be able to clear out this pack of sledgehammers. Alright, reinforcement card. Speed spec gets picked again by Sparty. So right now Sparty is at 2 speed spec, which means all of his units move 6 meters per second faster. And to put things into perspective, a squad of fans starts with 6 meters per second. So with double speed spec, now the fans are actually walking twice as fast at 12 meters per second. And the crawlers are going at 22 meters per second. So they're just going to beat at your face in a few moments. Oh, look at his sledgehammers. So here's what Sparty did. He put down 2 more squads of sledgehammers and he took Mech Rage, which gives them another 4 meters per second movement. So these sledgehammers now move at 17 meters per second. They're actually faster than a squad of crawlers without any sort of upgrade. And with Mech Rage, he doesn't really need to take range because while moving at 17 meters per second and the range gives them 40, he can cover that 40 meter distance in about 3 seconds. And that's nothing. And round 4, he was able to win that with overwhelming force because of the Mech Rage tanks. Now, remember, with Mech Rage, not only does it increases the speed of these tanks, they also increase their firing rate by about 30%, I think. So they start off with 4.5 seconds per shot, and it reduces that by 1.5 seconds. So that's a significant boost. And with level 2 sledgehammers now on the board, my steel balls are going to have a slightly more difficult time of getting to his army. Now, knowing that, I took energy absorption. Energy absorption was actually pretty decent against sledgehammers. So whenever you're deciding when to take energy absorption, you need to make sure you understand the unit that's on your opponent's board, right? You want to have energy absorption against the board where the units primarily have more HP than they can dish out within like a 5-second time span. So units that aren't really good for energy absorption are marksmen that aren't in assault mode, right? Any sort of a smaller unit. I'm thinking maybe Scorpion. Nah, actually Scorpions, they do alright. I mean, they're sort of the break-even point. Sledgehammers definitely have more health than they can dish out, so energy absorption should be good here. But the problem right now, though, is chaff clear. Everything's kind of got stuck here. And this assault marksman, they're just doing so much damage to the steel balls. And it doesn't help that these sledgehammers, now with Mech Rage, are excellent at clearing out my chaff, which means my steel balls get targeted way sooner than his tanks and marksmen. So that's a big problem, and I need to fix that problem soon, otherwise I won't be able to get to his unit, and he will just outscale me indefinitely. Alright, here's the unit drop. I think Rhino makes a lot of sense. So we are both going to take Rhino, but we're going to use them in very different ways. For me, I think the best way to use the Rhino, especially with the level 5, is just to hit armor. Armor blocks 60 damage per level, so with level 5, it effectively blocks 300 damage per every shot, which means chaff units, they don't work on the Rhino. Sledgehammers, right? Yes, they have a pretty high damage, but with the armor, even with level 3 sledgehammers, they're doing 2,000 damage. I'm able to reduce that damage by more than 10%. Smarty seems to have a different idea with his Rhino, wanting to get to my tower, which makes sense. And Oil, the bane of all aggro positions, is being put down. And that is going to slow all my steel balls, my Rhino, my crawlers. Everything is down here. I also picked up Electromag on Arclights, knowing that he's got Mech Rage on the sledgehammers and also Assault Bow on his marksman. Holy crap, look how fast these things are moving. And this is at speed 1.0. Like, this is not sped up or anything. They're just really fast. This marksman is walking at 20 meters a second. Sledgehammer is walking at 20 meters a second. Man, like, this whole army is walking faster than your regular crawlers, and they pack a punch. Alright, steel balls are working. And here's when steel balls tend to get a little bit more scary, is that when they start to level up with energy absorption, they have such a huge pool of HP, they can just continue to take the damage and then take the damage back from your army. And that's what makes them scary. And this turn, the steel ball not only got energy absorption, but they also got range, making them a lot more effective engaging with these sledgehammers. All right, another round of reinforcement. Deployment spec makes sense. Iron Blast makes sense. Smoke kind of makes sense if you're able to land them. For me, I don't really need smoke because most of my army just steel balls and they just run up to the unit. Iron Beam makes sense, but it is so difficult. I try to put the Iron Beam right here, but knowing that these sledgehammers, they move like 17 meters per second, and he's probably going to take temp speed as well at some point, it's not going to be easy. The reason I put this beam here is not because I'm trying to catch these tanks while they're moving. It's just that once they hit like this line right here, my unit should be within range, and I'm hoping it will just stand there and shoot. His Iron Beam is a lot more predictable, right? It's on top of this oil. Everything's going to slow down. So and there's really not much I can do about that. I could probably try to dodge something, maybe with these two, can just dodge it away. But it's very difficult to manage this. I try to add oil as well, just copy what he's doing. So my goal is I'm going to add oil, I'm going to slow down his tanks, and where the Iron Beam kind of cuts across. But Sparty is too good for me to try that sort of stuff. And he did add 2 shield bubbles and negating the effect of my oil. My oil is still going to land a little bit right there in the middle, but most of the oil is going to be onto the shield bubble. All right. Ooh, look at his Iron Beam. He is not able to get one of my high levels steel balls, which means they are eventually going to heal themselves back up by getting onto these sledgehammers. Except they aren't, because the sledgehammers took EM. Sledgehammer EM is one of those huge power spike moves that you don't see very often, but if they already have a sledge line and they take EM, then you're kind of in a very rough spot. Because sledgehammers does 2 things very well at with this setup, right? With mech rage, they clear out chaff extremely fast. And then with EM, they are usually the very first unit that engages your carry unit, whether it's a giant or steel balls or your line of marksmen. And they usually have enough HP to tank that initial barrage, your alpha strike, and then get to your unit. And once they do get to your unit and they disable them, it's a very difficult game to play. Okay, now looking at the board, I was thinking, what can I do? What are sort of the units that don't require a lot of technology that can still do good damage against these super fast, super jacked sledgehammers? And I thought Sabertooth might be a good option. Sabertooth typically one-shot the sledgehammer, so level 3 Sabertooth does one-shot a level 3 sledgehammer. And with range, they hopefully can get to them before they can get to us. So I just went crazy with Sabertooth, and here's a whole line of Sabertooth just all the way across. But it's so tricky when you're playing with double speed spec, because all of his units arrive so incredibly fast onto your footstep. And because these are sledgehammers, they are very well rounded, right? They can take care of chaff clear. They can also stand against your carry units, even if it's a Sabertooth. So it's just a very difficult, like, what do? Do you put down more units against these tanks? Do you put down more chaff and hoping that they don't come in and disable your carry units? Do you go air with marksman and elite already on the board? Very complex. I'm not too sure. So if you know an answer to this kind of play, leave a comment below, and yeah, let's talk about it. Okay, so Sparty took the level 4 Wraith, knowing that I don't have enough upshoot. The only 3 units that can shoot air are these level 2 marksmen, and they're so busy with the ground units, with the sledgehammers, which means this Wraith is just going to contribute to the chaff clear. And right now, the way it works is that once I have no chaff, then the sledgehammers comes in and they disable everything And most importantly is that they're able to disable the steel ball energy absorption. Without energy absorption, my steel balls are pretty useless against these high level sledgehammers. So they're going to outscale me very fast. Wow, I mean, just look at them go. It's just crazy. All right. So this is going to be a couple tough rounds ahead. Let's see if I was able to get this game back on track, because right now is a bit of a train wreck. All right, extended range sledgies. He really doesn't need to take this. It doesn't make sense. I think anti-interference makes sense for me, but I made a mistake by taking haste module. Anti-interference makes sense with a pack of steel balls, and once you have them, they should be able to tank for quite a while. I added my own Wraith because I just desperately need chaff clear, and because all of his units are just walking so fast towards me, I don't really need range, I just need chaff clear. I took Degen Beam to match his Degen Beam, anticipating another Wraith potentially on the other side of the map. He took range on his Wraith, providing even better chaff clear. And here goes the other Wraith on the other side of the map. Temp speed once again, temp range. And this is going to be brutal. As you can see, the army is just going to smash into mine. I'm going a little crazy on the missiles because I want to make sure that the more chaff I get rid of, the better chance I have at getting to his army first. The shield bubble is there to protect him doing the same with the missiles. Alright, let's go. So missile comes down, got blocked by the shield bubble. These Wraith are doing quite a lot of work against these crawlers. But at some point, the arc lights just aren't that effective anymore, especially with so many crawlers. But look at how quickly they fall to these assault mode marksmen. Absolutely brutal. And my sights are falling. I have no upshoot. My steel balls, they're still in this game, but they're getting disabled by these tanks. And the problem with ranged steel balls up against EM anything is that once you get disabled, then they have to re-engage and they have to move, which loses all of their charges. So when you're playing against, like, range is really good on things like steel balls or melting point or hackers. But when you're playing with your opponent, which potentially can go with a very hard EM counter, you have to think twice about what you want to do with the range tech, especially if you're running heavily into steel balls, like anything that charges up, right? So I'm getting real desperate here. I have no answer to Sparty's board, and I thought, you know what? My steel balls at this point, they're just glorified chaff, and what I wanted is just to have something that can get rid of these sledgehammers very quickly. So the answer to that was multi-melters. I figure, hey, the steel balls are going to run forward. They're going to tank just a little bit. Multi-melter, they work great against sledgehammers. They should work against Wraith as well if they lock on. I had a bit of a trouble kind of positioning where my units are going to be. I figure I'll have it at the front because the steel balls are just going to walk through them anyways. So that's not going to be a problem. But I am a little concerned because this sledgehammer is like level 4. It's got 18,000 health per unit. So that's quite a tanky boy. And I just don't know if I have enough to kind of get rid of everything. This melting point is on the shield bubble, able to bring it down, but I just don't think I have enough chaff. Right? Once the tank hits my melting point, it's going to disable the multi-melter, and it's going to reset all of that damage, as you can see right here. And this is just overwhelming force with the speed tanks coming in. Now, in retrospect, I was thinking maybe I could have gone with the multi-melter earlier, maybe on a saber round, but I'm not really sure. So if you have an idea, leave it in comments. Well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I got another one that's even better. Check it out, and I'll see you on the next one. Prepare your
Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.